And we are live, and I'm going to cover. Go for it, guys. Hello, hello, everybody. Good afternoon on this really, really beautiful day. It is so good to see everybody here on Zoom this afternoon. So welcome everybody once again to Strength Asia's live stream series. Today, I am really excited to be kicking off our new 4-part series. You own the conversation. And for this series, I'm really, really stoked and excited about the title, You Own the Conversation. And why is that? Well, because conversation is the key to the great things and to the great relationship that we have. And yet, it is something that we do every day, that we take for granted. We don't think too much about it, and very likely, we overlook its importance. We overlook its power and place in our lives, at work, with families, with friends, and with the people around us. So starting today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so glad you're here. We're going to kick the series off with the first talk of today, the power of communication. And then over the course of the next 3 weeks, I will be talking about, firstly, the art of conversation lies in listening. And following that, and you really don't want to miss this one here, right? I will be talking to Kevin Eyre, the creator of Soundwave, a tool that is changing the world in how people talk to one another. And finally, we're going to wrap up the series with Talk is Action. So once again, welcome everybody. My name is Kim Pong, and I am the CEO and founder of Strength Asia. And at the very core of everything we do at Strength Asia, it is really about helping organizations build a culture of engagement. By that, I mean, how do we help our leaders, our managers, our executives become more energized, more satisfied, more influential, more impactful in their work, in their relationships with one another. So, with that, let's go and talk about what we are here for today. So let's do this. The power of communication. Now, in my 30 years of working, with teams and organizations, I found that the following to be really, really true. That most people in any organization, no matter how different they think they are, they all share similar values, interests, and intentions. Now, they want to collaborate with one another and be able to come together to do amazing work. But there's always one thing that almost always stands in the way in disrupting collaboration, in disrupting between people, preventing and slowing them down in doing amazing things together. And that one thing is not for the lack of capability or experience, or even the will or the desire to want to work together. That one thing, ladies and gentlemen, is the inability to communicate effectively with one another. The ability to communicate effectively is the number one and the most important trait of people and teams who are successful. Now, when I'm talking to you here, right, it is my expression to you in what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, in what I want, right? It is the link between you and I. So if I do this right, that link will be strong. And if I do this badly, that link is going to be messed up and broken. Now, we all know this. We have experience in this, right? And we know that companies that we work for, they invest millions and millions of dollars in helping their people communicate better with one another. We all want our links between each other to be stronger and not weaker. Communication is the foundation of effective team collaborations. Now, every one of us knows that every one of us want to be able to communicate well. And we certainly do not lack the desire for this, to want to be able to communicate well effectively. But in reality, what we do lack is the awareness that we are not effective in the way we communicate. Well, listen to what George Bernard Shaw said. The biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. Now, you may be the expert. You may be the most brilliant person, the most able person on the team, have the best systems or the best frameworks for business. But if you don't communicate, if you cannot communicate, it doesn't matter who you are, what you do, people just don't get you. The power of communication gives leaders and managers and teams and people like you and I the ability to inspire people, to persuade, to lead and understand, to convince, to empathize, and to earn the confidence of the people around us. The power of communication, ladies and gentlemen, is the difference between engaging people or disengaging them. It's a difference between creating teams that will be thriving or struggling, right? Or relationship that will be flourishing or floundering, or our work to be succeeding or failing. This is the power of communication. And we can only find this power in the quality of our conversations. It is no longer just talk between us, but it is how we talk to one another that truly matters. How you and I talk dictates how we see each other, perceive each other, and make sense of each other. Shelley Gable, an associate professor in UCLA, demonstrated this really, really well through her positive communication model. And she observes that people generally respond to each other in 4 different ways. They are active destructive, passive destructive, passive constructive, and active constructive. Now, I know there's a lot of words, right? And it's a bit of a tongue twister here. And every time when I say those words, it just makes me feel a lot more knowledgeable, a little bit more Howlian here, right? All right. It all sounds Greek to you and I, but let me help you understand this a little bit better. Now, to be active destructive, it simply means to destroy what is just said by pointing out all the negative aspects of the conversation here. So let's say you and I, we are having coffee together, and I say to you, hey, I just got a promotion. Now, this is supposed to be my joyous occasion. I want to celebrate this with you. But then you respond with utter sarcasm, right? You go something like, man, this is terrible, man. I mean, that's not a good thing, right? I mean, these guys are terrible paymasters, and you're going to be working like crazy. Why do you even take it? Now, that's active destructive. And to be true, you just hurt my feelings big time here. Now, the second one, passive destructive. Now, to be passive destructive, right? Essentially, it is to say, hey, I'm going to ignore you, right? I'm just going to ignore you completely here. So again, here we are. We just go for coffee together, and I say to you, hey, I just got a promotion, and instead of saying something, to me, you say something completely off topic. You ignore me, and you say something like, hey, did I tell you what my mother told me this morning? I'll go like, what? I mean, you totally just ignored me, and honestly, do I look like I care what your mother told you? No. And for the third one, it is to be passive constructive. It simply means to patronize the person. In other words, acknowledge what is said and just move on. So let's say we are having coffee again, right? And I say to you, hey, I just got a promotion. And you say, you got a promotion? Wow. Oh, by the way, did I tell you what my mother just told me this morning? Now, that's just getting plain irritating, right? And the last one, right, essentially is this, right? It is to be active, constructive. And that means to engage people, to engage what is said, to be more inquiring, to be more enthusiastic, to be more supportive. So again, we're having coffee, right? And I say, hey, I just got a promotion. And you respond, man, that's great, Pong. Tell me more about the promotion. What would you be doing? I'm really, really interested to find out more about that, right? Now, does all that sound familiar to you? The truth is that we probably, had responded in any of those 4 different ways, at one time or another. And the fact is that, we are most likely unaware and unconscious in how we had just responded. Now, obviously, there will be times where we want to be intentional in ignoring or patronizing people. It just happens, right? But usually under normal circumstances, people are not intentionally nasty to people in our conversation. We just don't do that. But the reality is that when we are unaware and unconscious in how we talk, we actually do talk in a way that may sound nasty to people, even though we don't mean it. We can actually unconsciously destroy, ignore, or patronize people. And during all these times, we can be totally clueless. And like what George Bernard Shaw said, right? We are under the illusion that communication has taken place. It is no longer just talk between us. It is how we talk that truly matters. Talk is not cheap. Talk is action. Talk has consequences. The power of communication is in the quality of our conversations. Right. So right now, I want to shift gears just a little bit and try something different, right? So for now, what I'd like you to do, right, is to close your eyes for a few seconds. right? So everybody just close your eyes for a few seconds, and I want you to think about two things here, okay? The first thing I want you to think about are the people at work, either in your present or past companies. Now think about these people that you work well with or you enjoy working with them, those people that you love working with or you enjoy working with, okay? Now think about this. What were the conversations between you and them like? Was it good or was it bad? Okay, now next think about the people you dislike or struggle to work with. Now what were those conversations like? Okay, now open your eyes. What have you discovered? For the people that you work well with or you enjoyed working with, it is likely that the conversations between you and them were good. You probably felt more engaged, more listened to, probably more noticed by them, more understood by them, more respected by them, more involved with them, compared to other people, right? And for the people that you dislike or struggled working with, it is likely that those conversations between you and them may not be so good. You probably felt ignored, invisible to them, not understood, not listened to, misunderstood, patronized, criticized, stereotyped, or maybe even occasionally felt attacked by them. Our conversations with people is our experience of how we feel about them. It is the key to great things and to great relationships. It is no longer just talk between us. It is how we talk to one another that truly matters between us. The power of communication is in our conversations, and conversation is in everything that we do. Leadership is conversation. Relationship is conversation. Culture is conversation. Where there are great conversations with leaders that you work with, it is likely that you admire these guys and you look up to those leaders, isn't it? Where there are lousy conversations with people, it is also likely that your relationship with these people may not be so good. And where people hardly talk to one another in the place that they work, what kind of corporate culture do you have there? Amazing things happen between people when the quality of the conversations is good. Where there are great conversations, there will be great leadership. Where there are great conversations, there will be great relationships. Where there are great conversations, there will be great cultures. The power of communication is in the quality of our conversations. It is no longer just talk between us. It is how we talk to one another that truly matters. How we talk affects how other people think, feel, and act. It affects their engagement and their motivations interacting and working with us, and at the same time, their perception of us. Now, in your conversations with people, can I ask you this? Do you hold people captive, or do you captivate people in the way you talk? Or do you pigeonhole them, or do you empower them? Do you stereotype them, or are you curious about them? Do you ignore them, or do you engage and energize them? The key to great conversations is not about agreeing more or disagreeing less with one another. It is actually about disagreeing better. It is about learning to disagree more productively. Great conversations happen when we have the ability to talk and listen to one another, to understand and be understood, to see and be seen, to persuade and be persuaded. And the good news is this: we all can learn this. This is something that we can actually learn, acquire, and practice. It is a skill that we can have. Now, it starts with knowing how we talk, how it affects, and how we talk affects people around us. And this is where I want to introduce to you a company called Soundwave. Now, I've talked about Soundwave previously before. I'm going to reintroduce them again. I think Soundwave is probably the world's best kept secret, right? They are able to give you the greater capability to have more engaging conversations, with people, more engaging and more productive conversations. Conversation is key to driving growth, driving innovation, well-being, success, and excellence. So I would like to take this opportunity to take some time to just share a little bit with you what Soundwave can do for you here. Soundwave has a technology and capability that can make your personal and work relationships even more successful through your conversations. Now, how do they do this? Well, they help people like you and I know how we talk and how it affects other people around us. They enable conversations between people and between organizations. They give the ability to enable us to shift the dialogue, change the conversation, and intentionally shape the culture and outcomes that we want. Kevin Ayre, the creator of Soundwave, observed 3 things about how people talk, right? So number 1, he says, look, our talk is varied. And there are 3 verbal styles in how we talk. The way we ask, the way we suggest, or the way we tell. And within ask, suggest, and tell, there are 9 different kind of voices, or what we call verbal strategies, right, that we use in our talk here. So for ask is how do we probe, inquire, and diagnose, right? For suggest is how do we articulate, how do we advise or advocate. When it comes to tell, how do we critique, how do we correct, how do we challenge. So when you and I, we are intentional and we are skillful in the way we ask, suggest, and tell, we impact people around us positively. Let me give you some examples. So when you ask, skillfully, right, you get people to think possibilities. You get them to feel involved with the conversation, and you get them to act with purpose. Now, when you are able to suggest, skillfully, people think broadly. They feel engaged. They are confident of their own thinking. And when you are able to tell skillfully, you help people think with clarity, and they feel respected, and they want to be a part of what you are doing. Number 2, Soundwave noted that our talk is habitual and unconscious. Now, every one of us has a preferred way of talking. So our preferred way could be, for example, inquire, diagnose, or challenge. Or it could be probe, critique, or advocate. Or it could be, critique, correct, and challenge. That's why, the way you and I talk can be so different, right? It makes the way we talk uniquely us and habitually us. So we don't really think about it. We just talk. And when we talk habitually, we will constantly impact people around us, and it will impact how we will be perceived by them. And often, we are unaware and unconscious of how we talk. Because we are unaware and unconscious, it simply means this, right? That there will be a higher risk of people understanding us and perceiving us very differently from our original intentions. So let me give you some examples here, okay? So if you have, say, a preferred voice of challenge, and your intentions could be, wanting to get people to see new perspectives, or getting people to think about new ideas or new, ways of doing things, right? But because you're so unaware or unconscious in that voice of challenge, you may actually come across to people as being very impatient, or to be attacking people's ideas all the time, or as someone who's just very hard to please. Let's say that you have another example, right? Your preferred voice of inquiry, and you could be curious and wanting to seek out, new possibilities, open up the conversations a lot more. But instead, because you're not good in inquiring properly, you turn up instead to be perceived by people like an interrogator or like an inquisitor, right? In the way you ask questions, or if you have the voice of, say, critique. You may see yourself, well, I'm the rational guy, I'm the voice of reason, but instead may be totally misunderstood by people who think you're extremely critical in the way you talk. Very often, our intentions are good, but how we talk may not convey those intentions. We talk habitually and often hold the illusion that we have communicated well with people, when in fact, we are mostly unaware and unconscious in how we talk. And number 3, our talk can change. You own your conversations, and your conversations do not own you. You're not stuck in how you talk. You don't have to be a victim stuck in the way you talk. And you don't have to believe that you cannot change just because, this is how you've been talking all your life. Talk is not fixed. Talk is fluid. Talk can change. And you can actually get unstuck and begin to know how you talk, how you impact people. You can modify the way you talk. You can practice a new way of talking. You can acquire the power of communication through the quality of your conversations. So if that resonates with you, here are 3 things that you can do, right? Number 1, be aware. Know your unique ways of talking and how you affect people through your conversation. Now, that is going to be your starting point. And, the way you can know this, to acquire this knowledge, is by doing the Sound Wave Brilliance 3 assessment. Now, this is an online assessment, a really, really easy questionnaire to do. It takes about, I think, 15 minutes to do. I think there are like 35 to 37 questions. And once you have done that, it will describe for you your top 3 preferred voices. It will describe for you the impact of those voices, the risk of those voices, and how you can intentionally use them to create powerful conversations and relationships. Number 2, be open. Now, openness is creating room, within yourself to learn new things and to change. Invest into yourself. Don't tell yourself that you're too old to learn. Don't tell yourself that you're too young to learn new things. Invest in yourself all the time. Knowing your top 3 preferred voices, well, that's a great start. But as Einstein said, right, knowledge of what is does not open the door directly to what should be. So don't just stop there. Create room to transform the knowledge of discovery into actions and your actions into intentions here. Now, we will be running a Sound Wave Brilliance workshop here that will help you use your Brilliance top 3 results and turn them into action. And use it and show you how you can get your talk to go from unconscious to conscious, from unpredictable to predictable effects, from talk being fixed and fixated to talk being fluid and intentional, from just talking to talk that truly, truly matters. And finally, the third one, be humble. Humility is permitting the possibility that we could be wrong, right? Now, Stephen Covey, I just missed my slide here. Stephen Covey essentially said this, right? Whoa, what am I doing here? True. Sorry about that. Stephen Covey said, most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. Intellectual humility and our posture of humility make us better listeners. It creates the opportunities for others to teach us. It brings truth to light and diverse ideas to life. And in turn, it will make us world-class communicators. So that's it for today. I hope what I've been sharing in the last 20 plus minutes have been helpful to you. Now, next Thursday, same time at 4 p.m., I will be sharing about the art of conversation lies in listening. And don't forget the week after that, because I will be talking, to the creator of Soundwave, Kevin Air. And you definitely don't want to miss that. And in that particular session, ladies and gentlemen, it is very rare, that we actually get the chance to meet with the creator of a social assessment tool or psychometric assessment tool, right? I mean, you heard about DISCs, MBTI, the chance to be able to talk to the creators is going to be fascinating. So I'm going to be spending, some time, about 30 minutes or 30 to 45 minutes actually, to be talking with Kevin and really, digging his brains and asking him, what is it that made him do what he did, and how is this sound wave is going to impact our lives in ways, that we really are looking at in our relationships, in our work, in our influence and our impacts. So make it a point to come. You don't want to miss that. And finally, don't just run off after we sign off here. I'm going to leave all the information that I talk about, the Brilliance 3 workshop, the Brilliance 3 online assessment. I'm going to leave it on the screen so that you can actually get all this information. I'm going to be providing the QR code. So all you do is just scan the QR code and you'll bring you to the pages where you can purchase the Brilliance 3 assessment. At the same time, you can also sign up, for the Brilliance 3 workshop here. So I think that's what we have for today. I know we are finishing by 4:25. We're a little bit ahead of time here, but with that, thank you everybody, for coming to the talk. I am so glad that you're here. Have a great week. See you next Thursday. This is Kim Pong. Do love, do best. Out.
Think I'll try this a new way. I'm gonna show you the tricks that I know. I'm getting tired of talking, and I need more of a show right now. It's time that you made your mind up, 'cause lately all it ever does is change. Feels like we're only talking, going round and around, back around. I will fight like no other every day. I won't stop like the others. I will stay. 'Cause now is the right time, and I'm feeling alright. I'm playing your game like I know I can win right now. You got me up tonight, 'cause loving you is like I'm walking a tightrope so high. I won't be turning around, no, I won't be turning around. You feeling alright? I'm playing your game like I will win tonight. I think I'll do it on my way. I'm gonna show you what I'm going through, get you out of your comfort zone, 'cause I need more of the truth right now. It's time that you made your mind up, 'cause lately all it ever does is change. Feels like we're only talking, going round and around, back around. I will fight like no other every day. I won't stop like the others. I will stay. 'Cause now is the right time, and I'm feeling alright. I'm playing your game like I know I can win right now. You got me up tonight, 'cause loving you is like I'm walking a tightrope so high. I won't be turning around, no, I won't be turning around. You feeling alright? I'm playing your game like I will win tonight. Don't forget it, don't forget it, don't forget it. We'll turn this around. Don't forget it, don't forget it, don't forget it. We'll turn this around. Think I'll try this a new way. I'm gonna show you the tricks that I know. I'm getting tired of talking.